Welcome to another 3-round mock draft staying in the NFC West. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wasserman here. We got the Seattle Seahawks at number 18 overall, the final non-playoff team in the NFL draft with a 10-7 record overall. Just missed out on making the NFL playoffs this year. So they're right on the border of making the playoffs, Dawn. Let's push them over the border, make them get into playoffs next year by nailing this 3-round mock draft for Seattle. Of course, if you want to do your own mock draft, use the PFF Mock Draft Simulator at subscribe.pff.com. You can draft for the Seahawks, your favorite team, all 32 NFL teams. You can do as many rounds as you want as well. 1 round, 3 rounds like we're doing today, or a full 7-round mock draft if you're a true sicko. And you can trade players and trade picks using the PFF Mock Draft Simulator today. Again, subscribe.pff.com to get access to that PFF Mock Draft Simulator. All right, Seattle at number 18 overall. We're not going to be doing any trades in this mock draft. So at number 18, Dalton, what are we thinking here? I kind of want interior offensive line, but I don't know if we can get it really here at number 18. Maybe we'll wait a little bit on that. Edge rusher could be a lot of fun for this team as well. What are you thinking here for number 18?
Yeah, I think those two things are what you mentioned. I think interior offensive line is something we're going to attack in a little bit in the next round. There's a guy that sticks out up there to me, Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. I think makes a lot of sense here. They have Boye Mafe off the edge, but not a whole lot else. They're pretty set on the interior. They took Byron Murphy last year. Leonard Williams just had his best season in his 10th year in the NFL, which is pretty incredible. But they need just a little bit more on the outside. And Sawyer, we know he helps in run defense. His run defense tape is an absolute clinic. He's getting better as a pass rusher seemingly every week. You saw what he did at the end against Texas. I think Sawyer makes some sense here. If there's another edge rusher you want to stump for, I think it would make a lot of sense, especially in this area of the draft where there's still so much of that talent left.
What's our next pick? 50 overall?
I would start looking
now.
Round 2 and on, I'm starting to look at that interior.
Well, here's what I'm going to say here. At 50 overall, I think this is a deep edge class. We might be able to get a pretty good edge at 50. I think here, maybe not there's a true interior guy. I think we could take a tackle and put him on the inside. And one guy I was thinking about especially for that is Wyatt Milam, who is, I believe, number 35 overall on the big board.
That does make a lot of sense. If you think is an easy convert to guard there, and he could play either guard spot. Probably right guard right now the way it looks. I don't know if they're keeping Laken Tomlinson for another year, although he's very replaceable, honestly, I think, at either guard spot. But if we think Milam translates to guard well, and you want to test the depth of the defensive line class, which I think is probably the best unit in this entire class at any position, I could see this too, because they just need to raise the floor on this interior. The collapse of the interior of the offensive line is the reason they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think Milam is going to end up as my number 3 offensive lineman, period, in this draft. I think Kelvin Banks Jr. is number 1 for me. Will Campbell's going to be number 2, and then Wyatt Milam is going to be number 3 for me. I loved his tape this year, and he was really good last year, as you can see right there, and pretty good the year before as well. Just a really good run blocker and pass blocker, and I think his best home long-term might be at guard.
And I think that's something that mindset is not talked about enough of. This guy's a really good offensive lineman.
Yes.
We will figure out where to put him as a matter of, okay, what our best 5 looks like. But if you think he can play any of those spots, I think Graham Barton was in a similar position last year. Now he's playing center for the Bucs. I think that needs to get talked about more of. I just think this guy's a really good offensive lineman, and we will put him somewhere because we have multiple needs. I'm in on that because, again, the interior, the sole reason that they missed the playoffs this year, just completely collapsed.
And I think it's much deeper at the edge class than it is in the offensive line class. And I think at 50 overall, getting a Milam and then a Princely Monmion or someone else on that edge, like that would be much better than Jack Sawyer and then whatever's left at offensive line. I think
honestly, it's so rough. I could think about doubling up here for Seattle inside too. That's where I'm at with this. Is if they don't fix this, they won't get over that hump like you mentioned.
All right, let's go. Wyatt Milam, the offensive tackle from West Virginia that we think are going to put in the inside for Seattle. In that. All right, number 50 overall. What are some of the edge rushers available? Maybe I just screwed us out of this, Dalton, now that I said that.
There's always more.
Let's just see.
As always, and Jared Ivey's a good player, too.
I did screw us out. They had a run of edge rushers right before. Donovan Ezraka would have been awesome.
I mean, we could Ezraka would have been awesome. I mean, we could look in other spots. We could look at linebacker here. We could look at, we don't know how much longer Tyler Lockett's got left. If we want to look at receivers or even tight ends, I know they have Barner and Fant right now, but I think here is a spot you could take a depth piece and just go, okay, we're loaded somewhere else and wait on edge players. Or if you wanted to reach and take a Jared Ivey, we could take Jared Ivey. I mean, we like him. We're at 50 and he's 60 on the board. It's not the worst thing you could do. He had a really good season at Ole Miss. We've talked about Princely a lot at Ole Miss, but Ivey was really good this year too.
Yeah, I think edge and linebacker is where I was hoping to go here, but
And then some of the other names on that list, too. I saw Kamon Rucker somewhere there around 100. Could be a third-round possibility. There's some other edge players, too. It's just a matter of where this board's shaking out for us.
Exactly. I think number 82 overall is probably where it would be better to take an edge rusher. So maybe if there's any linebackers here that we'd like, I don't know if there would be one that I want to take here at 52.
There's a couple of guys there I might think. Chris Paul from Ole Miss also. Carson Schwessinger. He's a guy who's really moving up everybody's board right now. Can really read the field at linebacker, and he's get fly to the football. I think one of these two linebackers might not be a bad idea.
Okay, which one do you like more? I haven't studied Schwessinger too much yet.
I haven't either. I got to get to him.
He's a Senior Bowl guy that we'll see in person.
Oh, he's going to be fun to watch because UCLA. Not a whole lot went right for UCLA this year, but it seems that he was their best player on defense, and they've been getting some good defensive players there at UCLA. So there's at least somewhat of a pedigree there. And Chris Paul at Ole Miss was really good.
Paul was really good.
He was fantastic.
That one I know I really like. So that might be. You do Chris Paul?
Flip a coin. We'll
do CP.
What are you feeling? You want to leave one on the West Coast, or you want to go Chris Paul?
Oh, yeah, low moving call. We'll do Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul a little bit more. I haven't watched Schwessinger enough yet, but I do know I really like Chris Paul Jr. So that's one that I like a lot. He's obviously really good as pass rusher, coverage, and run defense.
Maybe your future linebacker there is Chris Paul and Therese Knight. I don't hate that.
Yeah, Chris Paul, make him wear number 3, and he'd be CP3 for Seattle right there. I like that. Sell a lot of jerseys in Seattle if you do that. All right, Chris Paul Jr., and then final pick in this 3-round mock for Seattle.
Now I might look at those edge players.
Yes.
I think I'm back in on that. Josiah Stewart had a spectacular year. Q Robinson's a good player. Those first 3 guys, I think, that's where I'm looking. It's a matter of which of those 3 we think are that. Now, I love Kamon. You want violence? Kamon Rucker is a violent, angry football player. That's an attitude guy off the edge. If you're bringing it a little bit short arms, but man, if you want somebody who's just pissed off to add to your D-line, I'll tell you, when he gets a free shot on your quarterback, things get violent. I like Kamon Rucker, but again, Josiah Stewart, did he finish the year as the highest graded edge player in college football?
Yeah, he was up there at least. That might be one. And also his stand-up role as well. Like, that's kind of fits Seattle's defense.
Both of them. Yeah, absolutely.
I think I like Stewart a little bit more than Rucker. I don't know how you feel about them. I'm between Stewart and Rucker.
They're both very, very good. I'm not going to argue against either of them. And again, you look at those numbers. Well, Stewart, the breakout that he had this year, and I know he got a lot of those one-on-ones with Mason Graham and those guys on the inside, but Stewart was spectacular all year for Michigan, just as big a part of their success as those other guys were up front. I don't hate it at all. He's really good.
And you can see 75.9 grade against Texas. That's against Cameron Williams and Kelvin Banks Jr. He had a few reps against them that were really, really good.
Yeah, no, he was nasty.
One of the few bright spots in that game for Michigan, honestly. That was a really good performance from him. So I like Stewart a little bit more than Rucker.
And I just thought of it too. Mike McDonald.
Of course.
Might be a little familiar. The Michigan ties. All right, let's go with Josiah Stewart. I think those other. But I'll tell you what, Kamon Rucker is going to be good too. I really like him, but Stewart makes sense here.
Absolutely. All right, finishing up the Seattle Seahawks 3-round mock draft. I've got Wyatt Milam in the first round, Chris Paul Jr. in the second round, and Josiah Stewart in the third round for the Seahawks that are right on the cusp of making the playoffs. And maybe after this 3-round mock draft, they'll make the playoffs in 2025. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this 3-round mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks. Again, use your own, do your own PFF mock drafts using the PFF Mock Draft Simulator at subscribe.pff.com. And stay tuned for more mock drafts staying in the NFC West coming out very soon.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.